Hello everyone. Today we are going to have some questions, very important questions, top 10 questions, friends. So let's begin today's video. First question is Simone de Beauvoir is the pioneer of, we have options here, friends. First is feminism, then structuralism, then post-structuralism, and phenomenology. So which can be the right answer, friends? Try yourself. Simone de Beauvoir is a pioneer of, so she was a pioneer of feminism. Option number A is correct, friends. Simone de Beauvoir was the French philosopher of existentialism, as well as she was a theorist also of feminism, feminist theorist, we can say. And she was associated with the philosopher Jean Paul Sartre. She worked along with him. Okay, and his famous works, when we talk about, it was the Second Sex, published in 1949, which was discussing the condition of women in the history. Okay, then it was written in the second wave of feminism. Second wave, there are four waves of feminism, friends, and this one is the second wave of feminism, from 1949 to 80, in which this particular work was published. Then next question is George Eliot was the pen name of Mary Isaac, Mary Ann Evans, Annie Bront, or Evans Ann. So which can be the right answer, friends? The right answer is B. Mary Ann Evans. George Eliot was a novelist, English novelist, a poet, journalist, and translator. So many duties, so many works she has done. And here, leading writer in the Victorian age. Okay. Then major works include, by George Eliot, are Adam Bede, published in 1859, then Meal on the Floss, published in 1960, Silas Marner, published in 1861, then Middlemarch, very important one, published in 1871-72, and then after Daniel Deronda, published in 1876. So important works by George Eliot I mentioned here. The most important ones are The Meal on the Floss and Middlemarch. These are very popular works by George Eliot. Then, which of the following novels is not written by E.M. Forster? So, we have options here: Where Angels Fear to Trade, The Longest Journey, A Room with a View, or Lord Jim. So, friends, here the right answer for the question which of the following novels is not written by E.M. Forster is Lord Jim. Lord Jim is written by Joseph Conrad, and other three works are by E.M. Forster. Uh, the first work, Where Angels Fear to Trade, was published in 1905, and it is a novel. Its title is adopted from Alexander Pope's essay on criticism. That is very important fact, dear students, that it has a title which is taken from Alexander Pope's an essay on criticism. Okay, there is one line like, Where Angels Fear to Trade, and from that line, this title was taken by E.M. Forster for his novel. Then, second one is The Longest Journey, published in 1907. It is a Bildungsroman, second novel by Forster. E.M. Forster's second novel it is, published in 1907, and it is known as Bildungsroman of E.M. Forster. Then third one is there, A Room with a View, published in 1908, a novel about a young woman. Okay, it has a character young woman. Her story is narrated in this particular novel by Forster. Then Lord Jim, as I told you, it is written by Joseph Conrad, and it was published around 1899 1900. And this novel was published as a serial in Blackwood's magazine. That is important. Joseph Conrad's novel Lord Jim was published as a serial, okay, in the form of serials, in Blackwood's magazine. Then, who wrote the life of Samuel Johnson? So here we have four options: Charles Lamb, William Hazlitt, James Boswell, Oscar Wilde. Uh, Basically, this one is very simple question, easy question. We all know about life of Samuel Johnson. It was written by James Boswell. Option number C is right. But let's learn something important. Published in 1791, this particular work, Life of Samuel Johnson by Boswell, was published in 1791, and it is a biography of Samuel Johnson. Boswell was a Scottish biographer. Okay, he was a Scottish biographer and diarist also, and he became famous for his biographical work of Johnson. Because of this work, Boswell became very popular as a biographer. Then, moving ahead, next question is there, who among the following is not a British writer? So here we have options: D.H. Lawrence, E.M. Forster, Thomas Hardy, and Ernest Hemingway. So answer number D is correct. Ernest Hemingway. He was from America. He was an American novelist, a short story writer also, and also a journalist. And he coined a writing technique. That is important fact I mentioned here, friends. He coined a technique, writing technique for the novel, for the short story, iceberg theory. It is named as iceberg theory, or the theory of omission. Okay, two names are given by him: iceberg theory or the theory of omission, coined by this American novelist Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway was also awarded Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954 for his novels. Okay, for his contribution in novel writing, he was awarded Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954. Then the next one is, which of the following is the only play where Shakespeare follows the classical three unities of time, place, and action? Very much discussed question it is, friends. We have options: The Tempest, Midsummer Night's Dream, Romeo and Juliet, and King Lear. So, friends, the first one is right here: The Tempest. Tempest was actually tragicomedy. Okay, it has a blend of comedy as well as tragedy, and it was written by Shakespeare, following three unities of time, place, and action. What is these three unities? So let's talk about. First of all, these three unities are derived from Aristotle's Poetics. And unit of action says a tragedy should have one principal action, and it is there in this particular work, Tempest. And unity of time, the action in a tragedy should occur over a period of not more than 24 hours. So that is also there in this particular work. Unity of time is there. Then unity of place, a tragedy should exist in a single physical location. So it was there. There is an island in the Tempest, narrated by Shakespeare. So it was there. Unity of place was also there. So once again, three unities of time, place, and action was were followed up very well by Shakespeare in his The Tempest. Then next question is, the term objective correlative is associated with which work, or with whom? So we will talk about both the things: with whom it was associated, and from where this particular term was derived. So Shelley, Arnold, Pope, or T.S. Eliot, with whom it was associated? So it was associated with T.S. Eliot. D is right here, friends. T.S. Eliot narrated this particular term. He popularized this particular term and coined also. And it was in Hamlet and His Problems, written by Eliot, published in 1919. Okay, then what does it mean, objective correlative? So, objective correlative means a group of events or incidents that systematically represent emotions, feelings. These are representing emotions or feelings in system. Okay, following a particular kind of system. That's why it is called as objective correlative by T.S. Eliot. Then, according to Eliot, it is a set of objects, a situation, a chain of events which shall be the formula of that particular emotion. So, it is stated by Eliot for this objective correlative. So, once again, T.S. Eliot coined the term objective correlative, and this term was popularized in his Hamlet and his problems in 1919. Next one is there. Who is the movement poet among the following? So here we have options: Yeats, Shelley, Larkin, Hopkins. So very simple question, friends. C is right here. Philip Larkin. Philip Larkin was the movement poet, and other poets along with Philip Larkin were Kingsley Amis, Elizabeth Jennings, Tom Gunn, John Wayne, T.J. Enright, and Robert Conquest. These were the movement poets, and these poets were around 1950 in England. Their works were published around 1950. And why they are movement poets? So poetry of the movement aimed at stark realism. It is rational, empirical, and argumentative. These are its important characteristics: rationality, empirical, and argumentative poetry they have written. And it employs traditional syntax, using ordinary diction for the ordinary people, and it is most often colloquial in style. So particularly normal people, the ordinary people were in the center while writing this poetry. That's why they called as movement poet. They wrote poetry following a particular style. Okay, and that style is rationality, empirical, and argumentative way of writing, and traditional syntax and ordinary diction. Okay, these were their style. Then, next one is Coleridge draws a distinction between imagination and reason, fancy, inspiration, or intellect. So we all know that fancy is the right answer, friends. But what is that? Fancy and imagination by Coleridge. So according to Coleridge, imagination is the faculty associated with creativity and the power to shape and unify, while fancy, dependent on and inferior to imagination, is merely associative. Fancy is just associative, working as an associative here, while imagination is the faculty associated with the creativity here, according to Coleridge. And this particular terms are described by Coleridge in 1817 work Biographia Literaria. Samuel Taylor Coleridge distinguished between fancy and imagination in this particular work by him. And this work was published in 1817. Then the next question is, Robert Browning was famous for his ballads, dramatic monologues, odes, or elegies. So here, friends, dramatic monologues is the right answer. And what is dramatic monologue? It is a kind of poetry written in the form of a speech of an individual character. Only one character in such poetry is there, and who is speaking all the things. And it is a kind of speech in a poetry. That's why it is called a dramatic monologue. And this character is not a poet himself, but a character portrayed by the poet for in the poetry. A separate character is there. Okay, not the poet himself. So Browning was very famous for his dramatic monologues, and his famous work is there, My Last Duchess. It is his famous work in the form of dramatic monologue. And also there is one another dramatic monologue by T.S. Eliot. It is the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. It is the famous example of dramatic monologue. So here we have two examples: My Last Duchess by Browning and the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. These two popular examples are of dramatic monologue. So, friends, that's all for this uh, uh, session. And here you can follow me on these various social media platforms, and you can comment in the description box, as well as let me tell you about the uh, standard books. The books links are already shared and already given in the description. You can go through those links, and you can buy some of the important books for your preparation. So, thank you so much for this session.